Let me ask you a question. Is the Sarasota real estate market in free fall, or will long-term fundamentals and demand win out in the end? I'm Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru, and welcome to the April 2025 Sarasota and Manatee County real estate market update. As always, there's never a dull moment in real estate. And if you're a home buyer or home seller, you're not going to want to miss this video. So let's go. So here we are, it's April 2025, and I'll just call it out what's on everybody's mind. The market is slower than it has been in the past. I think that's due to a number of reasons, including high interest rates, the stock market, tariffs, stuff going on in the world with wars. There's just a lot going on right now, and it's difficult for some people to make heads or tails or decide on what they want to do with all this uncertainty. However, we're going to take a dive into the numbers, and as you can see, they might not be exactly what you might be reading about in the news, but these are the real numbers, and this is what's going on in the community. All right, so here we go. We're looking at the statistics for Sarasota and Manatee counties. These come directly from the real estate board. These are the stats that everybody will use when they're reporting on this area. Right now, we're looking at the whole area combined. So that's Manatee County and Sarasota. Later on in the video, we're going to take a deeper dive and break it down by segments and also communities to give you a better idea, because there are differences within the area. So right away, when we're doing a bird's eye view, what I want to look at are single family homes and the number of closed sales. So while a lot of people are reporting that sales are down dramatically in Florida as a whole, when we're looking at Sarasota and Manatee, the amount of closed sales is actually 2.2% higher than at the same time last year. So that indicates homes are still selling. Next, let's look at median sales price. So again, I've been hearing a lot on the news, a lot of people making some pretty bold predictions. However, the median sales price in March of 2025 at $485 is only down 3% compared to the same time last year. Now, to me, that doesn't look really bad considering we've had really high interest rates for a long time now. And that just shows me that when it comes to single family homes, there's still a demand for them, and that buyers are still willing to go forward and get their home. Now, another thing to keep in mind when we're talking about home sales is that right now, if you are a buyer in the market or considering it, there's a lot of opportunities out there. I mean, sellers are reducing their prices. If you're going new construction, we're seeing price reductions, we're seeing incentives, you're able to bargain more. So all in all, it's a great opportunity if financially it's the time for you and you want to go ahead and make a move. All right, so now moving on, we're going to talk about condos, which is a little bit of a different story. So when we're looking at closed sales, we're down 9% compared to the same time last year. And when we go to median sales price, again, it's been down 9.1 compared to the same time last year. Now, in particular, condos have been hit hard for a number of reasons, not just interest rates, but we've also dealt with all the changes in the laws here in Florida because of that building collapsing in Miami a couple of years ago. So there's a lot stricter rules. A lot of condos have had to been updated. They've been assessed. There's been a lot of additional fees, and a lot of sellers have decided, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this old condo anymore. Also throw in the fact that we did have a few hurricanes last year, and that a lot of the owners of these condos are snowbirds and people from out of state. And I just think it's been the perfect storm where a lot of people want to sell and there's less buyers this year. However, over the long term, the condo market, people still want to live here. They want to snowbird. They want to stay here in the winter. So I think that market will rebound. But in the short run, there's a lot of opportunities in the condo market. So if you are thinking about it, it's a great time to get into it. Okay, so now that we got an overall bird's eye view of what's going on in the area, later on in the video, we'll look at the stats much more closely, which will help you to determine what might happen in the near future. However, before we get to that, let's get into breaking news. So here we go. We're going to talk about the news. I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can, give my opinion, and I really don't want to get into the political stuff. So please, if you're going to comment on what I say, that's fine. You have a right to, but I'm not going to get into it on social media about this. Now, there's a lot of things that affect the real estate market. I mean, we could spend hours on this and, have long debates, but I'm just going to pick a couple of things that I think are affecting the real estate market and just some things that we should keep an eye on going forward in the future if you're looking to purchase or invest or do whatever, okay? So having said that, let's get right into it. All right, so the first topic I want to talk about is interest rates. So everybody is wondering, are interest rates going to start to come down? What's going on? Now, if we scan the headlines quickly, you can see that right now there seems to be a battle between the Trump administration and the Federal Reserve and the banks out there. I can just go over the headlines and you can get a good idea. So here we go. Jerome Powell isn't rushing towards lower rates, even if Trump is rushing to fire him. Here we go. Peter Schiff cautions U.S. of rising interest rates in the aftermath of a trade war with China. Next article. Don't expect interest rates to fall soon after Trump called Fed's Powell a major loser. Or Trump rages at the Fed over interest rates. Okay, so here's the deal. The Fed meets every so often. The next meeting is in early May. All indicators point that the Fed is going to hold the rate because they don't want to let inflation start to rear its ugly head again. We know the Trump administration wants to bring rates down, so we're kind of at a standstill right now. However, if I'm to bet on it in the medium future, so maybe over the summer and into the fall, I think we are going to see interest rates start to come down. So keep an eye on that because that will have a direct effect on the real estate market as a whole. All right, so the next piece of news I want to go over is the stock market. So as we all know, this past month, Donald Trump declared a Liberation Day and slapped tariffs on a whole bunch of countries, and pandemonium ensued in the stock market. Now, it might not directly be related to real estate. However, a lot of people that are purchasing have their money tied up in the stock market. So if it suddenly goes down, they're going to pull back. This is especially true for cash buyers and luxury buyers. Anything crazy going on in the stock market can slow the overall market down. All right, so here we go. If we're looking at the articles out there, they're basically admitting the stock market has started to recover because a lot of these tariffs are getting solved. However, again, it's a battle between the Trump administration and the rest of the world. So here we go. S&P 500 is flat as it wraps up a big week of gains. Or stock market today. The Dow, the S&P 500 fall. China vows to support economy amid tariff strains. Or Dow slips after a 3-day rally. So what I like to do in this case is, while reading the headlines and the articles are fun, let's just go right to the charts. So here we go. We're taking a look, and this is the S&P 500, and we're looking at the 1-month average. And as you can see, April 2nd is Liberation Day. Took a bit of a hit. I would say probably about a 20% hit. However, soon after, countries started to negotiations. From what I can see in the world is everybody wants to make this work. And then after that, the market has started to rebound. A lot of it is going to hinge on what happens with China because they're one of the biggest economies in the world. If we check some news articles, even if I look at ABC here, Trump claiming 200 tariff deals, and there is conversations with the Chinese president. So again, if I'm to bet, I don't think these guys want to be fighting for years and years. It's going to hurt both countries, and more than likely they're going to come up with a deal, and I think the market will come back on that. Okay, so the next subject I want to touch on is the Florida real estate market in the news. And if you're to Google real estate in Florida, I mean, it doesn't look positive. However, to be fair, I've been in real estate for 18 years, and news in real estate is generally never neutral. It's either really, really hot, like, oh my God, this is out of control, or most of the time it's doom and gloom. And the reason it's doom and gloom is they know it gets more clicks, it gets more attention. When you start scanning headlines, they're not going to look good. So let's just go over, I did a search for Florida real estate, and yeah, you can see right away. So Wall Street Journal, why Florida condo owners are so desperate to sell. Here we go. Florida housing market sees buyers on strike in multiple cities. Or Florida housing market echoes Great Recession, real estate analyst. I want to dive into this further in my next market update because, again, I've seen this a lot of times, and sometimes headlines don't actually reflect what's written in the article. Unfortunately, a lot of people read headlines, they're on social media, and emotionally, if you live and die by the news headlines, especially when it comes to real estate, especially like a first-time home buyer or someone who wants to get on the property ladder, it'll cause a lot of uncertainty and you can get wrecked. At the end of the day, you need to remember, ask yourself why you're buying a home and what is your timeline. And I can say real estate is not a stock. You shouldn't be buying a house and selling it a month later. However, if you hold it for medium to long term, so 5 years or longer, all this levels out, and ultimately over the long term, real estate does go up in value. So there's a lot of pluses. So keep that in mind, combined with the fact right now there is a lot of deals out there. So again, we'll get into this in more detail, but if you're going to start searching the news, don't be surprised if it discourages you. All right, so for our last article, I wanted to end off with something positive, and I'm looking at an article from LendingTree, and Florida is still the most desired destination for out-of-state home shoppers. And if we go further down, according to the latest LendingTree study, 13.7% of home shoppers look to buy property out of state in 2024. By the numbers, Florida was the most desired location. Okay, so I know we're reading a lot of negative news about Florida right now. However, it is still a number one location for people who want vacation properties or to move from other states. I mean, Florida has a lot of good things going for it. It's got great weather, it's got low taxes, it's got a great lifestyle, and a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of businesses opening up here. There's a lot of growth happening. So while we might get caught up in the news cycle right now because Florida seems to get a bad rap, long-term prospects look really good. I still think it's a great place to buy, whether you're a family, a snowbird, or an investor. All right, so now that we've gone over the breaking news, let's take a deeper dive into the numbers so we can see where there's some opportunities and how the different segments of the market are performing. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through the stats that I look at when taking a look at the real estate market. Now, if you want, I can do a separate video where I go through every statistic and how you can use it as an investor or a buyer or seller. However, when I'm just looking at the market really quickly, there's 4 stats I really keep in mind on, and that's closed sales, the median sales price, the median time to contract, and finally the months of supply. So by looking at these 4 stats, I have a really good idea of what's going on in the market and what we probably should expect in the near future. So first, we're looking at single family homes in Sarasota County. Now, when we look at closed sales, you can see they're actually up 13% compared to the same time last year. So sales in Sarasota are doing quite well, all things considered. Now we go down to median price. That's where things start to change a little bit. In fact, sale price is down 8.8% compared to the same time last year. To me, the story is telling me simply houses are selling. I think sellers are being aggressive and pricing their house where it should be. Therefore, they're getting sales. One of the hardest things is in a slower market, sellers still price their house at maybe what they could have got 2-3 years ago. And then they start to sit on the market. And that's where you see a lot of the trouble happen. However, if you want to get a sale, pricing it properly is key. Next stat I want to look at is median time to contract. And again, it's reflected in the fact that we do have more sales. Median time to contract is 40 days. It's the same time as last year. And by historical standards, that's not that long. It means if you're listing your house, on average, if it's priced properly, it'll take you a little over a month to get an accepted agreement. Not too bad. Now, finally, the last stat I want to look at is month supply of inventory. Right now in Sarasota, for a single family house, we're looking at 6.9 months worth of inventory. Now, to put it in perspective, inventory is when you take all the houses for sale in a market and you divide it by the number of sales that happen in that month. And then that number you get is how many months it would take to sell all the houses for sale given what's going on in the market. So right now, with all the houses for sale in Sarasota, it would take approximately almost 7 months to sell all those houses. When we're looking at that as a real estate investor, anything from 0 to 4 months worth of inventory indicates it's a seller's market. It means there's less houses available for sale and more buyers out there trying to buy those homes. That puts upward pressure on real estate prices. Anything from 4 to 6 months is a neutral market. It means there's no advantage either way. And once you get over 6 months worth of inventory, you start to see downward pressure on prices. So there's more houses for sale, less buyers, and buyers have way more choice. And that's reflected in the stats that the median sales price has come down. Moving on, let's look at Manatee County. When we're looking at closed sales, they're down 8.5% compared to the same time last year. However, the median sale price is actually up 1.5% compared to the same time last year. So more of a stable market. When we go down to median time to contract, we're looking at about 46 days, so not much longer than Sarasota, and it is down compared to the same time last year. And the last data we want to look at is month supply inventory. We're looking at 5.2 months of inventory, so less inventory compared to Sarasota. And we're looking at a balanced market for single family homes in Manatee County, which includes Lakewood Ranch. Next, let's hit condos. So here we are looking at condos in Sarasota County. And as you can see, the closed sales have dropped significantly. So they're down almost 20% compared to the same time last year. Now, we're moving on to median sales price. Again, the sales price is down a little over 10% compared to the same time last year. However, median time to contract, surprisingly, is only 46 days, which is actually down compared to the same time last year. Again, I think this has reflected the fact that the condo market's been slow for about a year now. So the sellers that do want to sell, they're pricing their homes aggressively in order to get that sale. Again, you still have a lot of people that are priced really high. They're not getting any action at all. However, if you bring your condo down to where it should be priced based off of recent sales, you're looking at getting a sale in a little over a month. Now, the last stat we want to look at is month supply inventory. And when we're looking at condos in Sarasota, we have 9.7 months, which is almost 10 months worth of inventory, which is totally within buyer's territory. All right. So there's downward pressure on prices. It's a great time to buy. If you're in the market, if you're an investor, you can get a great deal right now. There's a lot of homes for sale. So this is a great market if you're a buyer. So keep that in mind. And finally, let's look at condos and townhouses in Manatee County. So when we're looking at closed sales, they're actually up 6.4% compared to the same time last year. When we look at the median sales price, again, we're only down 1.3%, which is nowhere near what's happening in Sarasota. Now, to be fair, Sarasota has a lot more high-rise condos, and therefore the price hasn't been as effective as much in Manatee County. Moving on to median time on contract, we're looking at 62 days, so about 2 months to get a sale. That's up compared to the same time last year. And then if we go to month supply inventory, we're looking at a little over 8 months supply of inventory here in Manatee County. So again, we are definitely in a buyer's market. Again, if you're looking to get a deal, great time to buy a condo. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that deep dive. So what should we expect in the near future? Well, I think things depend on interest rates and how the stock market's doing. So if things continue the way they are, we're going to have uncertainty, which means discretionary buyers, so people like out-of-state buyers, snowbirds, investors, will probably back off, while people who need to move or want to move will still purchase. And that's why the single-family market has been performing better than the condo market. Now, if interest rates start to come down, we get some good news from the stock market, I think you're going to see a bit of a rebound because home sales have been slower for the past year. However, Florida still remains in demand. There's a lot of good things going on. So again, this is something we need to keep an eye on. Just remember, in real estate, like anything else, markets always change. Things don't always stay the same. And I'm still bullish on Florida, and I think we have good times coming in the future. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this April 2025 Sarasota and Manatee County real estate market update. Got a question about real estate? Let me know. Looking to buy or sell our house in Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, Manatee County, or the surrounding area? Well, you know what to do. Give me a call, send me a message, and we'll get you set up right away. I'm Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru. Let's get you moving.